Hi Apartment Therapy, welcome to my 520 square foot studio in New York. I would describe my space as inviting, warm, and a total vibe. So this brownstone was built in 1885 and it is all original for the most part. I certainly acknowledge the beauty of this space and that this was probably a unique room where people would be entertained. And also my bathroom, I think, was a former kitchen. That would be my guess, considering the size, the dumbwaiter, and just the different features like the fireplace, etc. Having that character, I wanted to honor it by creating it as a lounge, which means I did not want to use bath mats or overly bathroom feeling things, hence the tiger print calfskin, hence hanging plants or just stationary plants, hence lighting. I put a little light from Home Depot in there, which is my main source of lighting at night. I really enjoy the wooden storage for clothing can open up into like this shade feel, and then the swivel mirror is much more inviting. It doesn't feel as bathroom. It's quite versatile. I tried to create an atmosphere where you'd actually want to chill in there. So I found that chair at Astoria Furniture Market, which is no longer, and that actually has a fun story. It was once in a 2 Chainz music video. So the details are phenomenal. The tile are all original from 1885. There's a border around the top that's repeated above the fireplace. I mean, hello, there's a fireplace in the bathroom. There is hand-painted porcelain above the sink. There are different motifs of shells, gargoyle faces. The dumbwaiter is magic because it goes down in depth and high. I have a very large suitcase in there and a smaller suitcase, and then my laundry storage is there. And then on the top shelves, I have toiletry and different things. And given it's a dumbwaiter, I also can smell whatever someone's making for dinner, if that's the case, because it wafts through the dumbwaiter. When the pandemic hit, I really wanted to highlight the molding on the wall. And so I went really bold and just went for black. And it was stunning. I had surrounded myself with so much of my art and so many things I loved, and it felt almost like the coziest place I could be during the pandemic. And then when it started lifting, I was just craving to have light feeling again and space to breathe and move and actually create new. Because sometimes we can close ourselves in without even knowing it, and I think I'd kind of done that. So it was a beautiful creative experiment, but not something to live in full time. This last iteration, as I call it here, is truly honoring the architectural integrity of where I live and allowing that to speak to me to inspire my next move. I didn't want people to walk into my studio and think, oh, well, there's the bed. So I really wanted to create a separate space. And I'm not obsessed with canopies, but I just need it to be functional in the sense of creating that divide. I don't want to walk in and have people fall into my bed and then onto the couch. It needs to be a sense of flow and direction, visual direction. So I needed to do something quite sheer to just give an illusion of separation of the bed. Like, I don't really want heavy drapes. I already have them now over my door and I have them over the window. I can't stand looking out at the door when I'm home. I had a new feeling once I hung these curtains. Also, it's functional. You know, if it's a heavier drape, you can often soften sounds, retain heat, retain your AC. But in terms of the lush feel it gives, I think it was a total success. So this actual studio room has to function as my bedroom, as my living room, as my photo studio, as my art studio, as my entertainment area. So it's a lot. When I have gatherings, people, are holding their plates on their laps. It's not the most glamorous, but I've put cushions on the windowsill to create more seating. The couch area gives a vibe of its own, looking out over the window. I have other seats in front of the mantle, which give another space. People can go in the kitchen. Sometimes people lounge on the bed, so you can really do a lot with the space. And sometimes they hang out in the bathroom. That's where my AC is housed, and people really appreciate that aspect. The precursor to creating zones is making sure that the pieces that I choose are mobile. So everything can be moved around for the most part, and to me that always gives me optimal use of space. The kitchen spoke to me also when I first walked in because it's very much of a jewel box kitchen, as I like to call it. It has these beautiful French doors and also the high ceiling height, so you can play with the space. So I know this was formerly open. Let me create a hallway. So the hallway feel I can do through putting a large mirror in front of it. And that certainly reflects a ton of light. So it makes it inviting. And then the light is a special find, another Etsy find, and I just love the warmth of the wood and the organic curvature. I was not a fan of the floors, so I wanted to do a black and white tile on a diagonal. The refrigerator is sort of my revolving photo show of different photos I like that I want to see that I've taken. Also, my kitchen houses my clothing, my shoes, my bags. The whole right side is pretty much storage. The whole left side is kitchen storage. So anything I want, I actually need to get on a step ladder and go up for. So that's a little bit tiring at times, which explains why I put things on the art cart just so I had it readily accessible. I think that's also why I'm not a heavy cook in this apartment. I need to be mindful that I have a lot of things in there that are not necessarily dishes. Thankfully, my clothes don't smell like food. Yeah. Storage for clothing is pretty unique in this space. I don't have a typical bedroom closet, so I had to buy basically a highboy dresser is what this is called. And then my silverware is in the long drawer, which probably would have had people's ties. And then I have my electronics in the bottom drawer, so that's where that is, stuff that I need readily accessible. And then the final closet is in the bathroom, and that has a lot of my other clothes. More storage would be under my bed, and I have 4 zippered compartments from Container Store. And then finally the dumbwaiter. So for books, you can get really creative. I have a Design Within Reach spiral. You can make it straight. I made it spiral because it's more inviting to me. I also have a very straight other shelf, which is my slanted room divider from CV2. I like to also have them out on things or on my floor on some cushions. You can also put it on your headboard. I have a few over there. Etsy has been a godsend for everything from the pillows on my couch that I got custom made to finding this incredible radio headboard. So I had a visit from a radio expert who'd been in the game for 30 years, and he was so happy to come work on this and immediately told me that this was not made in Italy. And the radio was not that great, but it was a really cool piece. I think plants are an essential element of any cozy home. Obviously, I know it's hard for everyone to have plants if you don't have a good light source. And trust me, when you're not here, all of my plants are congregated under my window to get the most sun, and then I move them back. So they look like they're thriving, but it's high maintenance. It's something that I really am deliberate about. Another element is the allure of the texture play. We have Mongolian hair, I think that's what that's called, linen, a knit, a boucle, a sheer. We have a bunch of metallics through the mirrors. We have cowhide. We obviously have texture of crown molding. We have texture of paint, which is my grandmother's painting on the wall. We have wood. We have stone in the back, and then we have marble. So again, they're all pretty much earth elements in some form. If you're afraid of using color, try tones. Tones or hues are not the saturated bright colors, it's like a shade of something. And that's basically what I have, and that's why everything works. There are a bunch of rules in Feng Shui about where you should have mirrors. I've sort of let the whole theories of what I should or shouldn't do go out the window with this apartment. For example, I have a mirror over my bed, and the reason I do that is I needed it to create an openness. There's such a huge wall over my bed, and I did not want more artwork like I used to have. I just wanted it to feel open and airy. And I love that the mirror also reflects some of the light from the window. And then to add dimension and depth, I have the floor to ceiling mirrors, and I bought 2 of those. I would not necessarily say the one by the door reflects a ton of light, but I have strategically positioned lamps and things to give that feeling. So there are some inlaid mirrors, which are all original, which is quite special. There's one in the kitchen, and then there's also one on the dumbwaiter. And then the magnificent door into the bathroom. It's so important to give spaces where the eye can rest. And what happens is when we have too much clutter or too many things, it's stressful because you don't know where to look. If you're not sure where to start, take everything away and just look at it. And then start putting one thing back, two things back. If that doesn't work or if it's too much, just leave it off. It's okay. If it's weighing you down and not bringing you joy, give it away, sell it. It's not worth it. The art of editing is so important. I think home is a reflection of my values, and home is very personal. And I think that is what's unique in design, is bringing out people's personalities and allowing that to be another outlet for yourself. To me, constraints enhance creativity. Limitations enhance being able to be resourceful. And that's kind of how I've lived for many, many years. I mean, I tried to start 2 businesses. I was trying to make it for a long time in New York, and I didn't really have a lot of means. And so I always wanted a certain vibe, and I've always created it. Regardless of my budget, I do purchase use things a lot. It's more of a budgetary thing. I also really value shopping local. The carbon footprint is so much less, and I also know that I know the person I'm buying it from. There's soul in everything that we own. Someone made everything that we own, and that really means something to me. And so I think the less disconnected we are with who makes the things that we own, the more in touch we are and the more integrity there is. And I think that's also what people feel when they come over. There's a soul in this space, and it's because I value, or I put intention in everything.